All right, Orange, I gotta tell you, I just read something that kind of blew my mind. We talk a lot on the show about how smart AI agents are getting, how they can reason, plan, write code, all that. But there's this article from Tech Times that punches a hole right through the whole narrative. Turns out, the smartest AI agent in the world can't do jack if it can't log into your company's software. Like, literally can't get past the login screen.
It's one of those problems that seems almost too obvious once somebody points it out. Enterprise software was built over decades with one assumption baked into every layer. A human being is going to be the one operating it. Login flows, session management, MFA prompts, captures, bot detection middleware. These aren't bugs, they're features. They were deliberately engineered to ensure a person is always in the loop when something sensitive happens. And now we're asking AI agents to operate inside that environment.
Right. And that's the wall. The article calls it the authentication wall. And it's not a small problem. MIT did this study, Project NANDA, looked at over 300 enterprise AI deployments. 95% of them delivered zero measurable return. Not low return, zero. The models were smart enough, the agents could reason. They just couldn't actually do the thing they were supposed to do because the systems they needed to access were like, sorry, prove you're human first.
That MIT figure is staggering when you sit with it. 95% of pilots returning zero P&L impact, and the instinct is to blame the AI. The model isn't smart enough, the reasoning isn't there, but the data tells a different story. Deloitte's 2026 research found that 60% of AI leaders identify legacy system integration, not model capability, as their primary barrier. The AI is ready. The infrastructure it needs to operate inside was never designed for it.
And here's the kicker. Mulsoft's connectivity benchmark report for 2026 says only 27% of enterprise applications are currently connected, even at organizations that are actively deploying AI. The average enterprise runs nearly 1,000 distinct applications? Most of them cannot talk to each other, let alone to an AI agent trying to operate autonomously. So you've got this agent that can reason through a complex multi-step workflow, but step one is log into the vendor portal. And that portal was specifically built to make sure a human with a phone and a fingerprint is on the other side.
That's the structural problem in a nutshell. And it's not new. We've been here before. Robotic process automation was built for exactly this situation. Automate the UI, mimic human clicks, extract data from portals without APIs. It failed to scale. Ernst & Young found that up to 50% of initial RPA implementations failed. Deloitte said only 3% of organizations ever successfully scaled their RPA programs. The reasons are the same ones AI agents are running into now. Session tokens expire mid-workflow, MFA prompts fire at unpredictable moments, anti-bot systems detect and block automation patterns. RPA was brittle. The question is whether AI agents can be different.
And on the capability side, they absolutely are. The article mentions OS World, which is this benchmark for software navigation. In late 2024, AI models scored under 15% accuracy. By late 2025, Agent S2 became the first model to clear the human baseline, 72.36%. These models can look at interfaces they've never seen before, figure out what to do, adapt when something unexpected happens. The capability leap is real. But then they hit the same wall RPA hit. The environment hasn't changed. MFA still fires, sessions still expire. The infrastructure is the bottleneck now, not the model.
And that's really the shift in thinking that matters here. For the last 2 years, the conversation has been about capability. Can the agent reason? Can it plan? Can it use tools? Those are largely solved problems now. The conversation needs to move to execution infrastructure. How does the agent authenticate? How does it handle MFA mid-workflow? How does it manage sessions without breaking? How does it get through login screens, legacy portals, and bot detection layers that sit between the model and the actual work?
The market is already responding. The article mentions Arcade.dev. They raised $60 million in a single week in June, specifically to build authorization infrastructure for AI agents. $60 million. That's not a small bet. And then there's this Cloud Security Alliance report from June 2026 that found 82% of enterprises already have AI agents running in environments that IT never officially provisioned, which is terrifying but also totally predictable. Teams are trying to solve the authentication problem informally, sharing credentials, bypassing approval processes, because the formal path doesn't exist yet.
Right, and that's the security crisis hiding inside the execution gap. When teams can't get their agents authenticated through proper channels, they improvise, and that improvisation creates vulnerabilities that didn't exist before. The Model Context Protocol has become the de facto standard for connecting agents to external tools, but its enterprise authentication roadmap, OAuth 2.1 flows, SAML and OIDC integration, audit trails, is still under active development. So organizations deploying agents today have to choose between restricting their agents to systems with proper API access, setting up dedicated service accounts with scope permissions, or accepting the risks of informal credential sharing. None of those are great options.
So what's the takeaway here? I mean, for companies that are trying to actually operationalize AI, what do they do?
I think the article's conclusion is the right one. The organizations that succeed won't be the ones waiting for their stack to modernize or trying to rip everything out and start over. That's too slow and too expensive. They'll be the ones deploying agents that can operate inside the environment they already have. That means asking harder questions than most vendors are asking right now. Not just, can this agent reason about the task, but can it authenticate into the systems that task requires? Capability is the easy part of the pitch. Execution infrastructure is the hard part. And the organizations that treat execution infrastructure as seriously as model selection are the ones who are going to look back at this moment as the one that mattered.
That's a good note to end on. Authentication wall. Not a capability problem, an infrastructure problem. The models are ready, the systems aren't. And until we bridge that gap, we're going to keep seeing 95% of pilots return zero. Thanks for breaking that down, Orange.
Always a pleasure. For our listeners, go read the full article at Tech Times. It's worth your time. And if you're building AI agents for the enterprise, start thinking about authentication on day one, not as an afterthought. See you next time.
Later, everyone.